Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 3rd to the 9th of October 2016. Before we actually get to what's coming up in the stars this week, I just wanted to mention a couple of subjects that are current on the internet. And the first one is this mysterious black moon. This is about as real as a blue moon, a blood moon and a supermoon. None of them actually exist. But I do see people spreading the graphics and the memes around. So just to explain, October isn't a month. October is a Roman delineation of time. We now have months that have 28 days, sometimes 29, sometimes 30, sometimes 31. And this was a calendar that was created back in the day away from the natural calendar and largely for tax collection purposes. So there's no such thing really as October. When we look at a month or a month, then in a month there has to be a new, a full and a dark moon. And the dark moon is just when there's no moon in the sky before the next new moon. So the actual months roll from new moon to dark moon and start again at the next new moon. Therefore it's impossible to have any two new, full or dark moons in a month, because a month by definition is one of each. So what we're seeing going around here is that there's a second dark moon in the month of September or October, depending on if you're in the US or the UK, and that now is called a black moon and it's got superpowers. Fine, if you want to feel into that and take any energy away with you that you want, that's fine, but technically there's no such thing as a second dark moon in a month, because as I've just explained, a month is a cycle of one of each. So there's a second dark moon in October, and if you want to go with that, it is around the Halloween time for us in the UK, so we're going to feel some power anyway. And they're also putting the clocks back, which is another ridiculous scenario, so it will actually be dark by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or thereabouts. So just to let you know there, we've got this black moon coming on the eve before Halloween with the clocks going back, so there probably will be some power around. But as far as being a purist, there's no such thing as a black moon, because there can't be two dark moons in a month. That was the first subject that I wanted to talk about, and the second one was this whole thing about there's 13 signs of the zodiac and therefore you have to adjust the date. There's a piece on my blog about this, and now they're even coming out and saying that NASA's saying that, which isn't technically true if you read the full article. But there can be seen as 13 signs in the zodiac, with Ophiuchus dipping his toe in between Scorpio and Sagittarius. But that doesn't mean that we have to alter the dates, because they're just markers in the sky. If we actually went by the size of the constellation, then Aries month would last for about a week and a half. Aquarius time would last for about 6 weeks due to the size of those constellations. So what's done is we look up in the sky, we take the constellations, the zodiac belt, we divide it evenly into 12, and those are just markers in the sky. They used to be for planting and reaping cycles, things like that, along with meteor showers. They're not having an influence on your personality. It's not like I'm born under the stars of Aries and therefore that makes me like this. They're markers in the skies, just like the numbers on a clock. If you created a number between 4 and 5 o'clock, it would still be tea time. It wouldn't suddenly change the entire clock. You wouldn't have to adjust everything accordingly, because that's what astrology is. It's the markers in the sky. The planets are the active principle, pulsing electromagnetic energy and interacting at different angles, but it's the season that we're born into on Earth that creates the collective field that has an influence on our demeanour. So that may not sound too clear right now, but there is an article on my blog, so go to astrozo.com, my blog, and one of the articles on there is about Ophiuchus, the 13th sign. So please don't go changing your sign or posting on any of that Facebook nonsense, either about that or the black moon, because both of them are sensationalist newspaper headlines with nothing to back them up, and a bit of an assault on our logic as well when we stop and think. So moving on to what is actually happening this week, I feel that that's relevant anyway to rebalance some of that falsity that we're seeing around us, because we're just coming out of the equinox, the autumn equinox, and the Libra new moon, and this is a time for great balancement, from the outer to the inner, from the masculine to the feminine, the night and the day. the light and the dark, the higher, the lower, whichever way you want to see it, and all of the above. This is the time of balance, and that's why Libra's sign is the scales, because we're dealing with equal night and day, a time to balance and calibrate as we go into the winter months. So it's quite good that some of those issues have come up on the internet, and that we've got the chance to reclaim the balance, to put the truth back in there as well. So a 2-week window opening up of this Libra new moon right up until the full moon on around the 16th, and that will be a full moon in Aries. So that's the week that we're looking at now before we get all to the Halloween and the clocks turning back business next week. We're looking at quite a pure week. Libra is Venus through air. We're looking at the heart and how it has room to flow. So the real relationships that we have, first and foremost, are with our deeper self. But even in our relationships with others, the air signs need a bit of room to move. So we're dealing with the dance, the sacred dance of the heart. We're dealing with movement through air, whether it's sound, smell, light, so perfume, dance, poetry. And we're dealing with frequency, because frequency is carried through the air as well. So it's a very good time for recalibrating our subtle frequencies, or even working with crystals if you're expert at that. So finding the balance, finding the harmony, the grace and the flow over the next 2 weeks, tuning into your heart and your creativity, not trying to control it, but letting any creativity flow out of you and any ideas flow as well. Just see the next couple of weeks like a beautiful, gentle, graceful dance. That's the gift that we have from Libra. Jupiter's recently moved into Libra for a whole year, so what we're going to be able to learn from this is about our relationship with ourselves and others, about control and surrender, about any romantic programming, or about any passive-aggressive behaviour patterns as well, because they seem to resonate from the aggressive Aries across to the passive Libra and back again. Is there anything that comes out of your relationships that shows you any of that programming? But that's for the whole year, so we'll leave that there for now. There's not much else going on this week, except for by the weekend we have Mercury coming out of Virgo, out of the retrograde shadow and into Libra, so another Libran aspect here. So Mercury in Virgo has been around for a long time. We've gone through the retrograde and we're now coming out of what's called the retrograde shadow, which is the kind of point that it entered into way back when. So we've had a long time to really explore this retrograde in Virgo with its forwards, backwards and forwards process. It's all been spoken about in previous videos, so I won't go back there, but by the time we get to Friday night we can let go of all of that. We can trace the journey, we can take the seed of awareness, and we can release but be grateful for what we've learnt, because if we rise things to awareness and we actually learn the lesson, we never have to learn that lesson again. So we're actually making our future easier and travelling lighter as a result. So Friday night may be a reckoning, what's gone on through this Mercury retrograde. You could even trace it back to January and May as well, when we had the other Earth retrogrades in Capricorn and Taurus, and see what the whole year has had to teach you. And then we're stepping forwards, Mercury into Libra, a great time for expression and all that creativity I was just talking about. Great time to let our thoughts flow and to tune in with beauty and to flow freely and find the balance. So all told, quite a quiet week, lots of Libran energy, not really anything to do, just to release, to let go, to rebalance after the equinox, and to dive into creativity, because next week and the week after we'll be coming into those more intense weeks as the month moves on. So just enjoy the lightness, the flow and the beauty for now. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week. For anyone interested in learning more about the moon cycles, I have 2 short online courses. One is more technical, where you can draw up a chart for a full moon or a new moon, and you can actually place each full, new and dark moon in your own astrology chart to make a lunar planner. And the other one is more intuitive, with certain dates, herbs and crystals and rituals that you can create around these cycles while you start to tune back in to natural time. Each course has notes and a video to follow along and email access to me, and you can take your time and tune in as deeply as you like. So please do contact me if you'd like to tune in more deeply with the moon cycles and be able to understand this for yourself. If you'd like to explore these energies more personally in your chart, then you're very welcome to come to me for a Skype or personal one-to-one astrological reading, or maybe even think of joining the group at £5 a month. We're actually discussing where all these energies are and how you can dive into and learn your chart as well as other subjects. I also have some courses that you can engage in. So there's a full astrological course which has a 3-module foundation, and then you can do the whole 13 modules over 1 to 3 years if you like. And I have 2 moon cycles, 1 feng shui and a tarot trilogy. So those are separate modules that you can learn online. And just also to say, on Tuesday night I'll be running my London Tarot meetup, which is an open tarot session for anybody that wants to come along and either learn or practice in a friendly environment. So for any of that, please do contact me, zoehines7@gmail.com.